Hi, I'm Alan Ross. I'm the managing editor of APC Media, or APC Technology Productions, Transformer Technology, Power Systems Technology. We are here at the RE Plus 2023 event in Las Vegas. This thing is huge. It seems like the battery storage people have come here. So we've got wind, solar, battery storage, and everything in between. But hope you enjoy these interviews. I love interviewing the technology of the future, and enjoy. My next guest is Bud Collins. Bud, you are the CEO of American Energy Storage Innovation. You know why I know that? It's on your shirt.
It's on my shirt. It's good advertisement.
I know it is good advertisement, and it shows that I can read. But before we get on to about what AESI is about, let's talk about the industry. How long have you been in it?
So I was in it really before it was an industry. In 2007, we designed the first commercially viable lithium-ion grid-scale storage system, and deployed that in 2008 for a very great customer at the time, which was the AES.
Okay. Yeah, good. Great pedigree. Then you started at the right place. So so you've seen a lot of change.
Absolutely.
From then to here. Describe what's happened.
Well, back then there were a few thought leaders around that were seeing that energy storage could benefit the grid, and benefit the grid at a cost savings to the ratepayer. But the utilities didn't quite see it that way. So it was hard to deploy storage. It was hard to get a value proposition where you could make money at it. There were a couple of leaders. AES was a leader in that area. And then it started to gain traction somewhere in the 2014-15 timeframe, where there were a lot of projects. Southern California, Edison, San Diego Gas and Electric, the Hawaiian Islands, they were putting in storage, and they were seeing the value. And they could see the future. As we got closer to 2019, though, there was still a very nascent market. The storage wasn't universally accepted everywhere in every utility area around the world. And in a lot of places you could make money putting it in. But today, I think there's a very broad acceptance across the globe that storage adds real value to the grid. In fact, it's essential when you're trying to shift from a carbon-based to a pure renewable. It's just, you have to have it.
I've been doing this RE Plus show for a while, and before that, the SAEP and some of the other organizations, AWEA, the wind energy. And this show, to me, is a sea change. And by that I mean there's as much emphasis on storage as there is on wind, right? So we're coming to scale. We're coming to a point where now you don't have to prove it anymore. You just have to figure out how to deploy it. And they're together, right? Whether it's wind and storage, but that's great for the storage industry because as they scale, you scale.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and this event is really something that shows that. What are some of the obstacles to get to this decarbonization thing we talk about? And there are many of them, maybe not about storage, but within the system. So
I think it depends. It's regionally kind of specific of what the obstacles are. I mean, certainly cost was an obstacle, but I think that the costs have come down to the point where pretty much in almost all markets, it makes sense to put in storage. You can make money with it. I think in the U.S., the interconnection, congestion of applications is probably the biggest impediment right now.
Okay, I haven't heard that term before, but I know it's true because it's that congestion of connections.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, there has to be some change in the industry and maybe it comes from the government, maybe it comes from the utilities themselves, a better plan, but these studies can't take years and years and years to do because you're going to run out of power in certain places as we shift to a more electric-driven society.
So, I mean, electrification of transportation is nascent. It's not there yet. I mean, maybe more so in California, but it's not even in California. EV charging stations is going to be a big deal. Having power to serve them.
And
right?
having them work.
And having them work, that's right. So that whole component we have yet to fully come to scale. It's coming.
That's
right?
going to be a shocker. That is for the politicians, the planners. It's going to be a big shocker because people travel in different ways than we put in the electrical infrastructure.
Right. Oh, yeah.
So now that has to change to accommodate how people travel. And that takes a long time to get approval for upgrades, to get the permitting process done. That could take years to get that done. So in the interim period and maybe long term, storage is going to play a big role there.
Absolutely, yeah. We just had somebody here from Eaton, and they were talking about microgrids and how important, they're making a huge play in the microgrid. A number of people are, because it makes sense, you know. I mean, there's a bakery in California, 6 different plants, and they're run off of solar and this funky wind type thing. It's a microgrid, but you know what they depend on? Solar. It won't work if you don't have storage. I mean, it depends on storage because it won't work. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
Are you all involved in that?
So that's really the heart of what we do. You know, is providing storage to applications where there is an issue.
Yeah.
Whether it's a renewable balancing issue for a commercial customer or whether it's for a grid level customer, that's really what's the role that storage plays. And it's balancing, it's providing resource when the other resources aren't there. So we are part of the critical infrastructure, and I think the industry itself, our industry, needs to recognize that. They need to recognize you are part of the critical infrastructure. So when we think about how we have to design product, how we have to deploy product, we need to think about, we're like the data center of electricity. It needs to be there when you absolutely need it. It can't, you can't be down like our network here was yesterday.
Yeah. And I work in the data center world a lot, and data centers have the same issue. Their redundancy was having 3 transformers. Take one out, they're not as redundant anymore, right? And they got to have 5.9 reliability. It's an interesting thing. Tell me about the company, and you kind of mentioned some of the things there, but where you are now and what you're developing and what your role is in the future.
So it's exciting news this week. We were with American Battery Solutions out of Lake Orion, Michigan. We started this division, the ESS division, in 2021. We're developing, the first product would be grid scale energy storage. We've got a product called TerraStore, which is our 5th generation of product that my team has put together. I was lucky enough when we started this that I took my team that was with me at A123 and NEC and brought those guys that were there right at the beginning with me. And on Monday, we spun it out. We spun it out of ABS because our growth trajectory is different and cash needs are different. So we spun it out as AESI, American Energy Storage Innovations. And our first product will be actually in production at the end of this year. We've already sold pretty much almost all of our 2024 production. It is very much a revolutionary design. And you mentioned 5 nines reliability. That's how my team thinks. So we went out and we got a study done by a third party, and they came back and told us, for your DC portion of the product, you've reached 7 nines. For the product itself, you've reached 5 nines. We're a bunch of old data center guys from American Power Conversion back in the 90s and the 80s, so we understand that reliability because when you need it, it has to be there. And that's something I don't think the industry is focused on. They've focused on, well, we'll just add some engineers and we'll have them out there working on the system all the time. That doesn't work.
And so I love the fact that we will do this another time. Another time, what I want to do is talk about from here to the future, okay, about the kinds of things you're working on, because we have my timeliner just said, hey, you're going to run over in a little bit. It is fascinating to me. I have a principle, and I've seen it a lot, but I've seen it here 3 or 4 times. People trying to put new wine into old wineskins. There's a core business, right? And they keep trying to do something unique and new, and get the same core business. Don't screw that up. Let it be the core business. You've just described new wine in new wineskins, and it will it'll serve you well throughout the future.
We're tipping everybody upside down. They're going, what did they do? How did they do that?
Do you remember the book Who Moved My Cheese?
Yes.
You did.
We moved the cheese.
That's excellent.
Thank you.
It's so good, bud. Thank you.
Same
We'll be
here.
in touch.